Welcome back to another episode of Back in the Day. We got a lot of guys in the chat room tonight. Love to see all the brothers here. Love to see all the buffs, the whackers, whatever the fuck you want to call yourself. We're all together. We're sitting around the table, drinking, talking about fire stuff, and Kerry's box.
Oh my God!
Shalom. As always, my sidekick Ruffy.
What up?
Is with us tonight, and then we got Proby producer Pete, whatever you prefer to call him.
Shalom,
Shabbat. So we got a good back in the day for you guys. On a serious note, one of the serious fires that basically shaped and changed the job forever. But before that, tonight's show is brought to you by GettinSaltyApparel.com. The
shameless plug.
Are we going to give him a sneak peek of the new wares?
I don't know. Should we give him a sneak peek of the new T-shirt that's coming out, or what?
Give it.
You mean the old box shirt?
Dump the box.
Well, I snuck a little black and white when it was being drawn on Instagram the other day.
Oh, you did.
But now it's colored, so it's got a little highlight. So maybe if you want to.
Whoa. It's 2020. Come on.
I don't know if you're allowed to say it's colored.
It has some color
there you go.
In the drawing. So if you want to see, all right, you can put it up. Take a
look. Box, Petey. There it is.
Here we go. Stand by. Woo!
There you go, bro. First due at your old lady's box. 1075 fire box. You can put anybody in there. Kerry's box. I don't remember what Frank Sutphin's wife's name. What's her name? Her box, your box. Felicia's box, Rosie's box, my old lady's box, whatever you want to do.
Shit.
It's nice.
All right, let's get to business here.
Dive into it. Everybody's got their drinks. Ruffy's drinking. I got a little Tito's with a little flavored Zelsa.
I got a little honey.
Oh, man. Little JD, what happened?
Blue Moon.
I know the panties. I know, yeah, panties.
No, I was gonna say, what was it? What was the captain drinking the other day?
He was drinking fire.
Fire Jack.
I don't think I could drink that. That might be too. This is kind of sweet too, actually, though.
Yeah. All right, sweetie, hit it.
All right.
Talk. Let's kick it off.
So today, obviously, we're going to be talking about the Waldbaum'S fire. Just a little bit of history when I was looking this stuff up. And both, obviously, Kevin and I, we know about this fire. We know a lot about the tactics that came out of this fire. But the more I researched it, the more I realized I have no idea about some of the facts and some of the stuff that went on with this fire, like incredible stuff. And I also found out that, and I never really thought about this, that in the FDNY in New York City, a lot of the given names of these fires, stuff that we refer back to, like the Waldbaum'S fire, like the Deutsche Bank fire, like Black Sunday, like Father's Day fire, like 23rd Street collapse. We just keep referring back to these jobs through history, and you just say one or two words, and you know exactly what fire we're talking about. So. What we're going to do is Kevin will start off. We're going to go through the building construction, a little bit about that before we get into the fire and the collapse and all that stuff. So Kevin, you could talk about the building.
Yeah, we'll talk about the time first. It was August 2nd, I think, 1978. Again, the war years. It was hot as hell that summer. The fiscal crunch. The city was a shithole. So the building was a Waldbaum'S supermarket. We're going to do a little reading because there's so much information here. It's located at 2892 Ocean Avenue in Brooklyn, right off of Avenue Y. It was a one-story taxpayer, 100 by 150. They were renovating it. They had a one-story on the side, an exposure 4 side. It was an extension, so it was under construction that morning. The main store had a mezzanine, and it was used for office space and for the compressors for the air conditioning system. Now, here's the real important part. I mean, this is basically the bread and butter of this whole job, this whole operation, this whole nightmare. The roof was supported by 100-foot-long heavy timber bowstring trusses. These trusses were spaced about 20 feet apart. The trusses measured 10 foot, 1 inch high from the top cord to the bottom cord. So if you guys don't know what a bowstring truss is, That's what it is exactly. It looks like a giant bowstring. The top are under compression, the bottom are under pressure, and it allows you to have a large open space in like a movie theater or a supermarket or anything like that without having bowling alleys, clubs, without having all of those columns to support. So you got this bowstring construction, which with the heavy timber was old. And I don't know about outside New York, but you could basically see them at movie theaters from the outside, the roof. It's a big, giant bowstring, like a big, giant hump. I said it, hump in the middle. So there was 7 bowstring trusses supporting the roof at Waldbaum'S. The trusses were numbered from front to rear. All the even number trusses were covered with sheetrock. I don't know why that is. The trusses that were covered with sheetrock had a doorway. There you go, so that the workers could pass back and forth within the trusses up in the roof. So very high roofs, very high ceilings, and so basically a characteristic is the curved shape on the roof that would indicate the bowstring truss. Sometimes it wouldn't be visible from the street because you may have a high parapet, or it may be an elongated parapet, so you might not see the bowstring, especially if you had it at night. And a second thing that added to this nightmare was that they had what they call a rain roof, or I think you call it an inverted roof, right, Lou? Too.
This is a inverted roof would be pre-construction, like it would be made. That roof would be made to drain water. This was done afterward because it was leaking, and instead of doing a huge repair, they put this roof on top of it. Tarred it so that it would stop the leak.
Basically, it's a roof on top of a roof that allows. So if you're up there cutting, what you think is the roof is probably the rain roof, and you may have up to 3, 4, 6 feet of roof till you actually get to the roof itself.
Well, when you look at this picture, the rain roof on these were at the ends, right, where it tapered down, and that's where the water would run off the top of the peak of the bow. And it would collect down at the parapet. So what they did was then they had on both sides, they had a rain roof. Probably wasn't that deep, probably a foot maybe in some spots. But it was there for the water runoff that was coming off the bow because it was all probably hitting, right up against the parapet.
Now, another big problem here was inside. Underneath the bowstring ceilings, the old ceilings were tin ceilings, originally. And then I guess over the years when they renovated, they put a drop ceiling under the tin ceiling. The drop ceiling was about 24 inches ornamental tin ceiling. And the original tin ceiling was 16 feet above the floor. So 16 feet to the tin ceiling, man, that's a very high roof.
Yeah, so if you have heat there, which it's not going to, that would have to come outside of the tin. But if it's above that, you've been in those jobs. You're walking around. You have everybody's like poke a hole somewhere because you never know what the hell's going on.
I don't know. I don't care.
You had about four layers to get through, though. You had the rain roof, the tin ceiling, and the drop ceiling.
And it is too. It's hard to take those. How are you gonna take those ceilings? What size hook are you gonna get to take those ceilings?
Yeah.
So that's kind of impossible. I know they had a mezzanine, so you could probably poke some holes up in the mezzanine area. Which is where the fire, we'll get to that, where the fire actually got started. So, Louis, hit up the fire, kid.
All right. So Kevin said it was on August 2nd, 78. The box came in at 08:39. So 8 o'clock in the morning, was transmitted by the fire dispatches for a fire. It came in as a fire in the Waldbaum'S supermarket, Ocean Avenue and Y. I think here it's showing 2 and 2. So you got engine 254, 321, ladders 153, 156 in the battalion, 3-3 were dispatched to the fire while responding, which happens a lot in the city. Brooklyn Fire Dispatch announced that they were filling out the assignment. So they're going to fill it out for a 1075, even though it hasn't been given yet, due to numerous phone calls basically stating that there's a fire. Engine 254 arrived at the box. It was he saw some flame near the exposure force side, which would be A, B, C, D. You guys are D side. So for some of you guys, and he saw some fire with some extension, and he transmitted 1075 at 0845. So 8:45 in the morning, he transfers a 1075. Right, that's the first picture. And which was really cool in this report. And, it's kind of an old school thing, was to drop 2 lines. So he dropped for the first engine to do that because it just saves time, right? So he dropped 1 3/4 inch hand line, and he dropped a 2.5 inch line from the hose bed, and was told that the fire was in the mezzanine. Kev, you were right.
Yeah.
So
you know what I don't understand though, which I hate to critique, especially if fire that goes bad. But they eventually, I read somewhere in here, they eventually take the 1 3/4 in there.
yeah, but back then they weren't doing 2.5. That was
I guess
1 3/4 was the normal. A normal. That wasn't for probably
today,
years and years.
and any commercial you go to, you're pulling you're stretching. You may stretch 2, which is a great idea, but your first line is going to be that 2.5.
Yeah, they would stretch 1 3/4 off the standpipe. Lead lengths. You know what I mean? A lot of times they wouldn't. That wasn't for many, many years, and plus it was easier to maneuver too. So, but obviously you're losing. You don't have the gallons. So they did stretch 1 3/4 through the front door, the first line. So, all right, you're up, Coobs.
So 153 was the first new truck. They pull up. Let's see. They were told also that the fire was on the 2nd floor, which was the mezzanine. There was no visible fire, and there was really only a light smoke condition coming out of the front of the building. It wasn't chugging, no heavy smoke or anything like that. So 153's inside team actually was clearing a path clearing a path to help them stretch and performing a search, because they were told that everybody was out of the building. So the roof man goes up, and of course, in this operation, in the taxpayer, the OV, which is our outside vent man, they both go to the roof, and they're going to start performing vertical ventilation, which is cutting, taking any scuttles up there, taking any skylights, cutting holes in the roof. By that time, the Battalion 3-3 chief arrives, and he transmits the all hands at and now this happens fast, guys. So pay attention, man. From the time this fire starts till the time this fucking thing goes sideways, he transmits the all hands at 08:49. So
4 minutes.
Yeah, man. He saw the smoke blowing across Ocean Avenue. So he gave the all hands. He was told that the work they were doing in there, the renovations, that there were acetylene bottles in there. So there was propane bottles in the rear of the store, and basically that's going to put the chief's antennas up, man. He's going to be even more aware and more a little nervous about what's going on in there. So
yeah, so he actually gave all hands before. The way this reads, the first and the second due engine and second due truck haven't even got to the box yet, because he gave the all hands, and now it's reading that 321 engine 321, which was second due, and 156 truck arrive at the fire. He said basically the engine officer from 321 in this report says he observed very little, no fire and very light smoke condition.
Very little heat there was saying. Hardly any heat on the first floor.
He took the 2.5 inch. This is really weird too. He took the 2.5 inch line that was left there for him, right? They charge it, and right off the bat, it gets 2 burst lengths, which is like what the heck is that? Yeah. So they switch out the lengths. When they do that, they get another burst length, but it was I guess they replaced it pretty quick. It says here in the report that all were replaced quickly and had little effect on the operation. And that hose line was advanced up the stairway to the mezzanine. Engine 276 is the third engine. They stretched 2.5 inch line, so now they got a large diameter hose there. They went through the 1-story extension on the exposure 4 side, because that's where most of the smoke was coming out, on the 4 side, which is what we had heard from the chief. And they saw fire in the openings of the wall. Right? That can't be good.
No.
You know what I mean? So he reports that to the chief. This is confirmed by the battalion chief, and he told them to operate their hose line into those openings, right? which is, a weird thing, I guess. But until 254 had that hand line operating. So I guess they went around the outside, so they were in position quicker. 254 had to go through the building to get up to the mezzanine. So he's coordinating that, saying, all right, 276, you guys try and knock some of this down from the outside quick until 254 has their line operating. And that's basically how it starts up page 6.
Louis, one quick question. It by all accounts that we've read about in this fire, it seemed like, not a lot of smoke, not a lot of heat, right? Where do you guys know where it was building? Do you guys know, where the whole fire was starting to happen, and what was it?
If you show up to these types of buildings, anybody who has a little bit of time, when you see, if you have light haze, you have some smoke, you're never going to feel heat. I mean, unless it's chugging out the front door, because you have 16-foot ceilings, and if it's not out of there, if it's up in the ceiling, you're not going to, have to go find it. So
which most of this was, it was in the up in the ceiling by the bowstring and
so it's already cooking up there. It's already burning the heavy timber.
That's what weakened everything and all that stuff.
Correct.
Right?
And that's why we don't.
Was it caught? You guys know it was caught, I guess, between that tin and the roof, the main roof, not
correct. It's burning.
Right.
It's burning in the open area. Probably. I mean, again, we're going to get into that, but it's probably burning in that open area, and that's what's so dangerous about those, is because you can't get to them fast, and if one part of the truss fails, everything fails, right? So, we'll get into that stuff a little bit ahead of ourselves, but that's really.
Before we move on, I just wanted to say something, because a few of the guys in the chat were commenting on the LAFD fire recently. Just give those boys a shout out, because they walked out with some injuries, and that was a roof job too, wasn't it? Or no?
Well, I don't know.
It was an explosion of some sort. I don't know exactly. I didn't read up on it yet, because I've been studying this Waldbaum'S fire, but I know it was some sort of explosion.
Those guys were on the roof, and you could tell just from the one video that I saw that. They're scrambling to get off the roof, because now the fire is really blowtorching out of the front, and whatever lets go a little bit more, and it basically takes the whole.
I think two guys
takes the ladder.
Yeah.
Oh, you could see 3 guys are like on a skewer, dude. It's
right. There was 5 guys total, I think, in the burns. I'm not sure, but two of them.
6 guys coming down. The 6 guys coming down the aerial, and 3 of them are. 3 guys get down pretty quick, to the bottom. I mean, they're probably, if you were standing there, don't look so bad, but it's probably hot as tits, absolutely incredibly hot. But the guys who got caught on the ladder, I mean, it's total skewer. I mean, bad spot. Bad.
I wanted to talk about a couple of guys in the chat too. Guy said back then, I didn't believe the rescuing squad didn't go until the all hands. We don't go to the all hands period unless they're filling out a box. The squad and the rescue don't go till the all hand, not till the 1075 is given. You're right. I'm sorry, my bad. Right back then, I don't think they went till the all hands, but there was only one squad back then. It was Squad 1. I don't know why they weren't on that box.
I don't know if there was only one in 78, Kev. There was other squads.
Yeah.
There was Squad 2. There was Squad 4. There's a lot of
in 78.
I'm not sure. Again, I don't know.
Let's check it out. But I know Squad 1 was special called later on. So, and the other guy was talking about the Hackensack Fort fire. Yes, that's same type thing, man. They lost 5 guys.
10 years later.
Yeah, with a bowstring truss. Same exact thing. Yep.
Oof. All right, boys. I just wanted to give them a quick shout out, and hopefully speedy recovery to the brothers. Yeah. Back to the fire.
So now we're at almost 9 o'clock, 8:54, and the 254 is operating into the ceiling. The heat was much more intense up in the mezzanine. So there's a little answer to your question too, Pete. There was a little bit of smoke, and Chief Clark requested an additional engine and a truck come to the job. So before he went to a second, he asked for additional ladder and an engine. So this is the part where I wanted to say, what's that guy's name? Is this yes, Billy O'Connor. So the second dude truck is 156. So this is going to be important because we'll talk about this guy. They got a Proby with them. Billy O'Connor. He had the irons that day. They began to operate. The force plunge team initially went into the building to check on conditions. The remaining members of 156 all went to the roof to begin vertical ventilation. So the whole truck goes to the roof. After that, Billy O'Connor, the lieutenant asked him to come up to the roof eventually after he told him to stay down the first level for a while. He was told to vent all the windows in the front. So he took all that stained glass. That actually could be him there right there. Oh, that's Tommy Higgins venting the front window. So the thing about Billy O'Connor that's weird is that he was supposed to get off duty that morning. It was August. They were going on vacation. So his wife and kids come to the firehouse of 156. And as they were pulling up, they got this run. And so she decides
right before the tour ends at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So she decides to get in the car with the kids, and she follows the trucks so they can see their dad in action. So they spotted him on the ground floor of the supermarket, and then she pointed him out to the kids, and they were just proud of the dad waving, and that becomes a real tearjerker later on. So go ahead, Luigi.
All right, so he ends up he and the other members. I think in that picture there, Petey, on page 7, you could see the guys from 156. They climb, they're either up on the aerial or up on the roof. They were actually, it says in this report here, once he arrived on the roof, they were actually cheering him going up the aerial. If you could even imagine that.
His wife and kids. Yeah.
His wife and kids, and they were trying to get his attention. He actually waves to them from the aerial just as he's about to go on the roof. Again, how could I be involved in the fire department for so long? I've never heard any of this story before, Yeah. But the second battalion arrives on the scene. They have some saws on the roof. It did, even this chief here is saying basically when the chiefs converse, didn't seem like anything was getting too out of control. If this job was today, I think he would have a fifth alarm right off the bat. But these guys seem to be a little bit less concerned. They've probably seen a little bit more fire than we did. So 169 truck, which was the extra truck, they arrive on the scene, and this battalion chief, which was the second chief to arrive, he orders them to take their saw to the roof and assist with vertical ventilation. And the whole truck from 169, and there's all a bunch of names here, but the whole truck basically goes up on the roof. And we got a picture of that, Pete. That's on page 8.
Okay, stand by. And page 8. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to show that other screen there. Stand by. And hold on, boys.
Go ahead, Kev. You can. That's page 8.
Right. So
yeah, there it is.
So they raise the aerial and they're working on the roof in the rear of the building. They're having difficulty cutting the roof because of the rain roof. But everybody that they talked to after this fire said that the roof wasn't squishy. It felt solid, so there was no thought of a collapse.
So just so you know, guys, when you have a rain roof, that's a roof on top of a roof, right? We were talking about that. So if you cut into the rain roof, and let's say, like Kevin was saying, if it's a foot or 2 feet above, it could be 6 inches above. You have to cut that hole big enough so that you can get down,
cut a hole in the hole
to cut the real roof. Right, so you're going to have a space. So you don't want to make a small hole, 4x4 hole, because then you're not going to be able to get the saw in to get enough vent. So you're going to try and get a big enough hole at some point in the rain roof, because that's not your vent. That's not your vent. That's giving you access to the roof. That's going to get you your vent. That's all.
So the deputy shows up at 9 o'clock. It was Deputy Chief James O'Malley. Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's only 15 minutes, right? Yeah. This is 15 minutes into this thing.
So he gets filled in by Chief Clark, and he sends Chief Clark into the store to supervise operations as he takes over as incident commander. he orders Rescue 2 to go into the store to help find the fire. So they haven't actually seen where the fire is yet. And at this point, O'Malley transmits the second alarm at 09:02 hours. Rescue was sent to the fire on the 1075 signal. So they had a couple of heavy hitters in Rescue 2 that day. You had Pete Bondi, you had Pritchard. At some point, I saw what's his name, Louis
Kleehouse's name.
Kleehouse, but he's not in the first one. So Kleehouse was there as well. So
yeah, like you said, this is all happening right at the change of tour. So, again, I'm speculating. I have no idea, but that could because he is on the report somewhere.
Yeah. So what happens is, I mean, Rescue 2 gets there. It didn't seem to be that serious of a fire, when they pull up. So hit it, Ruffy. So they're operating in the mezzanine area.
Yeah. So a couple of guys from Rescue. I think one or two guys goes to the roof. And if you go on to page 9, Pete, you'll see that. So it looks like they got 2 holes in this picture. This is 153 and 156 operating. They were cutting with their saws. All the scuttle covers were removed. They had heavy smoke showing. At first, it was a little bit, and then as they made more and more cuts, they had some fire showing. So again, this is we know that there's a rain roof. These guys didn't know that there was a double rain roof, right? Installed. So not only was there a roof one time, this is showing that there was a double roof, rain roof. So, oh no, is that what they're saying? It's a double roof, just a rain roof, one rain roof installed. Okay, my bad. So
that probably added to the weakness of the integrity of the roof, right?
They're not sure because they're not cutting into the main roof. Now it looks like these guys are up on the top, like on the main bow. So this is the original roof would have to be cut after the rain roof had been cut, which is what we were just talking about. So you have to make a hole, then get down and cut into the real roof. And that takes time. They moved the cutting operations away from the center of the roof, and those holes showed heavy smoke. The main concern on the roof was the heavy air conditioner. In the next picture, you'll see that. So again, they're not thinking about being on a bowstring, right? Because this has never happened before. They're worried about, a heavy air conditioner, which we're all worried about when we're on these types of roofs. And they all said that the roof seemed very solid. Roof conditions were, starting to show a little bit more of a severe fire condition, which was also being observed in the store, which is what they're talking about. The battalion chief requested a hose line to the roof to protect the air conditioner. So basically what they want to do is they want to stop the fire before it gets to the air conditioner up on the roof, the way this is reading. So 246, that's them right there in that picture. 246 stretches a 2.5-inch line up 156's aerial to accomplish that. So basically they're going to be protecting the air conditioner so that, the fire doesn't get to that point, I guess, and burn out the structure underneath there that's holding it. And, obviously that's what they're concerned about, is that falling through the roof to the guys that are operating inside.
Right. So that's really what his concern was at this point. As I read on, they're really worried about because they were on wooden beams. These days they build these air conditioners on some metal I-beams, and usually diagonally across the parapet walls, which will take most of the weight. So they're worried about it. They asked for another line, 245, to stretch up 169's aerial. They bring a 2.5 up there. At this point, the deputy chief asked for an additional engine and truck, and he wants one of them to be a tower ladder. So in his mind, he's already thinking, this might be going bad. Let me get a tower ladder here in case we got to do outside operations in a surrounding drought. So that's already entered into his mind. So 245 comes up the 169's aerial, and he sees fire. As soon as he comes up, charges the hose line, and they advance the hose line towards the fire to try to knock it down before it does any damage to where the air conditioner is. And they're all worried about the way the air conditioner falling in on the brothers below.
So that picture right there, if you could zoom that picture in, Pete, that gives you a kind of a real sense of how many guys are operating like in a small area on a bowstring truss, right? So it says here, all the members are now operating on the roof. You have engine 245, all 6 members of 153 and 156. So both companies are up there operating between truss 4 and truss 6, cutting the roof. So I think you could see, like where the smoke is showing there in 2 different spots, kind of chugging where they had opened up. You got Battalion 4-2 up there. Rescue 2 can be seen behind them in the far left. And then it says, take notice of smoke conditions 5 to 10 minutes before collapse. The arrow below is a landmark for position. So right now, if you see that arrow, the one on the left of the picture, right, you see all that looks like good roof where those guys are standing. You start to see like 2 pictures from now. It's pretty incredible. So we'll scooch down to the next picture, Pete, on page 11, and I'll go
10-4.
So this is 1/2 hour, to at 09, 1600 hours, right? So a half hour later, inside the store, 153 members of 153 truck go outside to exchange air cylinders, right? So think about how many times you've been at a job and you change your bottle. It's not too many times, but it happens, but not too many times. Chief Clark with the 3-3 was up in the mezzanine, supervising, the line for 254 and 321. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he sees fire to his left, and he heard like a whoosh sound. Right? He orders the companies. Now, this is where you get a guy who has some time, right? Who has a bad feeling, and it's a half hour they're operating into this thing, and nothing is really changing, right? That's always one of those aha moments. You want this guy who's got 20, 30 years to say, this doesn't feel right. So he sees something, he don't like it. He orders the companies to shut down the hose line and back out. There was a lot of fire now in the store. So what actually had happened was the things that he had seen was that the actual truss had collapsed, right? So he sees this whoosh, he sees fire, he's uncomfortable. He's like, everybody back out. And he don't even realize, what had happened at this point. And I'll just keep going, Koob. So what happens on the roof? So we showed you those pictures of all those guys. So now look at where those guys are in that picture. Right. So before they were kind of standing pretty far back. Now they're like right at the hole where it was smoking, like we had good smoke pushing out of there. So there are 24 members operating on this roof. Right. Conditions on the roof are much more severe and as they were in the store. So you got heavy smoke and fire showing near vent holes that were cut. The roof still feels strong at this point. And of course, suddenly, without warning, a section of the roof folds in, no sound. So this is the picture where the guys are operating. That's the last photo. It actually has 10 of the 12 guys that actually fall into the hole, into the building. And they're all on the far left. So you could see, again, where that arrow is, where those guys are, they're a little bit further back now. And this is the last picture you get before you see basically nobody standing there.
Moments before the collapse, guys. Yeah, this is seconds.
So in this thing, they're saying there's no sound, there's no vibration. It doesn't feel squishy, doesn't feel spongy. And basically, there's the picture, right? The next picture. Everybody.
To the right here, Louis, where I'm mousing over this area, this is where the collapse actually started right here, apparently. Mm-hmm. And it starts folding this way.
If you go into the
it's
next...
like a domino effect, too. It's chasing these guys. Some guys fall right in. Some guys see it coming and start scrambling, running towards the parapet.
Again, if you think about it, they're 20 feet apart. If you lose one, that's 40 feet. Right? So you're losing 20 on one side, 20 on the other, and that's not including the other ones, So the building's only 100 feet wide.
Right. So they said it was a 40 by 100 hole, which is huge. It's 4,000 square feet hole, which just opened up and swallowed these guys up.
So the next picture is the one. So you see those guys there in the picture. The next picture, it just shows.
Wow.
That's it. So that's the actual photo that captures the exact moment of the collapse. That's it right there. So
let's describe it for any audio listeners if they're listening to this tomorrow. I mean, you would do better at describing it, but it's all swallowed up, right? I mean, it's all
like somebody dropped a napalm bomb on the friggin' roof is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's just like, like these guys were opening up thinking they were getting a vent, although there was a lot of fire already showing. All the holes that they had in a couple of minutes before that, I've looked at this thing quite a few times. Those square, 4x4 holes that they had cut were really chugging like dark smoke, right? And then all of a sudden, didn't look like there was anything, no smoke at all. If you look at the pictures, and then there's just a little bit of fire coming out of them. So something weird was going on, and then now it's just, there's no vibration, there's nothing to you don't feel like this sense of, holy shit. And the next thing you know, now, I mean, some of the stuff I read. Okay, Kev, page 13.
Yeah, so what happens too is that they have no idea what's going on in the street because they don't hear anything, they don't see anything, and these guys didn't even have a chance to make a transmission. Nothing. Not that all of them had radios back then, anyway. So they didn't have a chance to friggin' fart, for Christ's sake. And these guys, the deputy chief in front, doesn't even know what the hell's going on. He sees a little bit of heavy volume of smoke. But there was no loud sound. There was nothing to indicate to him that the collapse had occurred. All of a sudden, guys start stumbling out the front door. He ran into one of the firefighters coming out, and they told him there's men in there. Now this is only 16 hours. What time did the fire go out, Louis? At like
1:45. It's only a half hour, 31 minutes.
Only a half hour. So you see how friggin' fast this shit went sideways, man. At that point, he transmits a third alarm. At 09:17, a minute later, it transmits a fourth alarm. And then the chief notifies the dispatch that a collapse occurred at 09:19. That a collapse, and there's victims inside that they asked for.
That's incredible.
A chaplain to
fire department chaplain. I mean, that's incredible.
That.
Yeah, I've never heard that either before. That's incredible.
So,
when I read that.
Yeah, so trust number 5 actually comes out 32 minutes. That's not a long time, bro. 32 minutes, and the whole thing gave way. So, that thing was burning for a while before they even got there. So, on the roof, the members who had not fallen into the fire were scrambling to get to the wall or a ladder. And some of these guys went to the parapet, and the fire was coming up behind them. And I read somewhere, that the battalion chief grabs 254's hose line and starts operating it so guys can make it back to the parapet or make it back to the ladders.
I saw that, man. That's incredible, man.
Yeah, man. He was close to falling in. He was operating for so long, he was close to falling into the hole himself. And then a guy from 169 truck started yelling, "The chief is going in the hole." And he ran across the parapet and tried to save the chief. He grabbed him. And him and the battalion chief and the remaining members of 169 made it to the rear of Avenue Y, where just by luck, man, an off-duty battalion chief, Chief Howell, grabbed a ladder from a telephone guy that was working on that block and threw the ladder up, and they all jumped off and came down the ladder. So, that chief, you talk about a chief who's got balls, man, he's operating so long, he's going to fall into the drink. And it takes another fireman to grab and pull them out. And thank God those guys made it.
So this is really where you see some heroics and what was happening, because not all these guys, the 12 guys that fall through, not all of them die, right? So, and that's something that I always knew about. Again, I never knew all of the facts and never researched it as much as I did the last couple of days when we talked about this. So
when we were in Proby school, you know what they told you? You get a job. You're up on a truss roof. Don't go on the roof. That's it.
Don't go on the roof. That's it.
Waldbaum'S fire. You have no business being on the roof.
Yeah, right.
That's all they tell
That's it.
you know?
It's the truth.
Yeah.
So
That's sound advice.
yes, no doubt. But like Kevin was saying, inside the store. So now inside the store, these guys know something happened, but they really don't know what the hell's going on, right? And of course, as you would imagine, if something collapsed, you have this like blowback type of situation. Jack Pritchett from Rescue 2, he was like close to the front of the store when this happened, when the collapse happens. So he runs into a guy, Tom Villabona, nice Italian guy, who was severely injured. He was the guy, I believe he was the guy who was up on the roof, right? Yeah, he was. So he fell from the roof into the truss area, and he actually landed on the top edge of the tin ceiling, right? So he's on the top edge of the ceiling, right? He's stuck up there. So he lands there on his feet onto the ceiling, this report says. He's in complete blackness inside the truss void, right? So for a few seconds in blackness, and then the thing totally lights up. So he knows from how he lands which way the front of the store is, right? So he starts yelling for help, and he starts moving in that direction. As he's going in that direction, he sees a hole. Somehow, I don't know if the guys opened it up or what. He dives for the hole and falls. How many feet? 16 feet.
16 feet.
Right? So he falls out. He dives there. He runs into Pritchard, and he tells him, I think there are guys still in there, right? Alive, still in there. So Fireman Pritchard, he ends up becoming Captain Pritchard. He, by the way, is the most decorated firefighter captain now, but fireman ever to be in the FDNY. He actually got 2, not 1, 2 Gordon Bennett's, which is the top medal that you could receive. He got 1 for this job, and I'm going to show you what he did. He goes in and he leaves Villabona. He starts searching. He finds a firefighter who's basically dazed, injured, same type of thing. Fell from the roof, through the floor, through the ceiling, I should say. He grabs him, runs up to the front of the store, goes back. He finds a second firefighter, brings him out, goes back. He finds a third.
He's like fucking Forrest Gump, bro.
He finds a third guy on top of the shelving. On the top of the shelving, the guy landed. He pulls him out, removes him. And then he gets a couple other guys from Rescue 2 that make his way out. And then they get to the point where they can't stay in there anymore. And they start making their way out. But I mean, it's incredible. So this is the part where guys are starting now to try and find different ways to get in to get these guys, right?
Yep. Yeah. So what happens is the guys who fall through cleanly to the tin ceiling, and find their way down eventually, or they fall straight through, they all make it out. They're all banged up, but they make it out. The guys who don't make it, the 6, are caught up in the truss. So they're caught up in wires, or they're caught up in the truss, and you can imagine that's the shittiest of all ways to go right there, man. You can't move, you're caught up, and you basically burnt to death. There was 6 of them who were hung up in the truss area. There were Lieutenant James Cotillo, Ladder 156, Harold Hastings, Battalion 42 aide. So the aide was up on the roof. When do you see that? The battalion aide with his clipboard probably on the roof. Billy O'Connor, who we're going to get to again later. We will tell you why that's significant. 156, Charles Booton, 156, George Rice, Ladder 153, and Fireman McManus, Ladder 153. It was a raging inferno in there, and they fell into the hole between trusses 4 and 6. Closer to the truss number 4. So Deputy Chief O'Malley makes his way towards Avenue Y. He sees Eisman after he comes off the roof. Now, this is amazing, too. Eisman, goes through that, and he goes back for more, bro. How many guys would have tapped out?
We were just talking about that with Everett the other day, right? The guy almost dies. They give him a mayday for him. He pops out by the luck, and he ends up operating for another 3 hours. I mean,
so he gets all bent because he realizes that his aide Hastings was still missing. So at 9:24, the dispatcher receives orders from Call 5A, which is I don't know if that's Talk Commander, who it is at that time. I don't really know who it is. And they request additional rescue companies to respond to the scene. Rescue 1, Rescue 3, Rescue 4, and Squad 1 would all respond. So at this time, they had 8 or 9 firefighters actively searching and yelling for anyone who could be trapped. The aisles were partially open, and searches could be made despite the encroaching fire. So this is getting hot and shitty, like Mondo fast. It's just like it's an oven, man. So a rapid search was made for other survivors. Deputy Chief O'Malley orders everyone out after a while, because he knew, the point of diminishing returns there. The remaining roof collapses, which is a heads-up move by him, right? Because the rest of the thing collapses in the store shortly after all operating fires were in the street. So we could have lost a lot more guys. What did I say? 8 more guys searching in the store.
8 to 9 guys. 8 or 9 guys. Then.
Yeah. So the deputy chief, gets an itch in his balls. Something he doesn't feel right. He pulls them all out, man. So.
Yeah. So if you go to page 18 there, Pete, there's a couple of pictures. So what they end up doing, they end up trying to breach a wall to get into the store. So this was one of the breaches here. If you scroll down,
how would they accomplish that? Out of curiosity,
malls or a ram. The rams that they use, the battering rams, or a maul.
Well, you could see there. That's not cut with a saw. It doesn't look like that. It looks like it broke out.
That's adrenaline and like a maul or a ram, and these guys are just taking turns.
So it says, So it says here, firefighters from Rescue 2, ladder 161, used a battering ram to breach a hole in the wall near the 5th truss. So they kind of knew where these guys were going to be. Engines 243, 245, and 47 operated their hand lines on the exposure 2 side inside the store.
Which is exposure B for you guys, side B.
There was a heavy smoke condition and fire pumping out, blah, blah, blah. But so they try their best to get to these guys and to put the fire out. But the next page is like that's really where Kevin was talking about. When I first read this, I couldn't even believe it.
Now, yeah, I had heard something about this because I watched a documentary on Rescue 2, and I said something to Louis, and sure as shit, it was stuck in my mind, and here it was, man. So this is why Billy O'Connor is a crucial name. So his wife is still in the front of the building, Louise O'Connor, and her 3 children. So she knew something was going sideways and horrible. So her uncle, who was Phil Ruvolo Sr., her husband's uncle, Phil Ruvolo Sr., he lived nearby. So she leaves, takes the kid to the Ruvolo home. So a lot of you guys chiming in yet? You guys know who Phil Ruvolo is? You probably don't know Senior. You probably know Junior. So she leaves the scene, goes to the Ruvolo home, drops the kids, and she returns to the fire with a young Phil Ruvolo Jr., who was a month away from being appointed to the FDNY. They return to the fire and see total chaos. Young Phil saw a firefighter coming out of the fire store from the store. The firefighter was completely spent and exhausted. It wasn't until the firefighter got much closer to him. Now, guys, what are the odds here? You ready? Closer that he recognized who it was. It was his father, who was working in the engine at the time. And he said, so this is now Billy O'Connor is Phil Ruvolo Jr.'s cousin, Phil Ruvolo Sr.'s nephew. He says, all he said was, Billy's back there and I can't get to him. So they knew right away that Billy was trapped. So Phil Ruvolo Jr., for you guys who don't know who that is, Phil Ruvolo Jr. goes on, has a shiny career. I believe he was in Squad 41 as a lieutenant, and then he becomes the captain of Rescue 2 for a long time. So the young guy who was a month away goes there, sees his cousin, basically burnt to death, fall through the ceiling, sees his father in total disbelief and shaken by this job, and he goes on to become Phil Ruvolo Jr., captain of Rescue 2. Yeah, Ruff.
Yeah, so Rescue 1 gets to the, at this point, it's just trying to get the brothers, right? So Rescue 1 arrives. They get there at 9:55. So that's an hour and 10 minutes, right? Lieutenant James Curran, Rescue 1, another legend, was told there were about 10 firefighters missing. the results of the roll call were not complete at this time. So he thinks there's 10 guys missing. They entered via the breached wall and looked to relieve Rescue 2. Rescue 2 firefighters Pete Bondi and Jack Kleehouse would continue to operate the whole time. They made their way through the difficult terrain, acrid smoke, as they made their way through the rubble, searching for any signs of men as continued their mission. They found a 6-foot hook, and then Jim Curran from Rescue 1 says, as he looked around closely, there they are. They found 2 firefighters there, realizing their other members could be nearby. They found other ones, close by. They started pulling roofing material, and that's where the 4 other brothers were found still in the roof, in the bowstring. So 2 had fallen through, or maybe came through, but the 4 still were up in there. And then they just, like what we always do, we make sure we take our brothers out. So they got the Stokes, and the fire was placed under control at 12:45, 1 o'clock. And there were 25 other firefighters injured at the job. And to this day, it was, barring 9/11, it was always one of the worst, FDNY disasters that we, fires that we had.
Yeah, man. 6 wives lost their husbands. 18 kids were fatherless as a result of this fire. And as a result of this, actually, there's something here that says about Vinnie Dunn actually wrote his book on collapse because he was touched and he was horrified at this fire. And I think I read a statement about him saying that, that this Waldbaum'S fire shook me to the core. He also said that if he was in command of this fire, he would have lost those men too. So that's what caused him to write that building. And to this day, we don't step foot in the FDNY on a bowstring truss roof. And so basically what it says, it goes on to say about bowstring truss are designed by engineers. They were a tensile strength of wood and have deteriorated over the years. It's estimated that bowstring truss roofs only support 40% of their originally designed load carrying capacity. Jeez. Yeah, man. So after that, over the years, they make alterations, so it may ruin the integrity of it. And they're just dangerous all over, man. It's and they were probably all rotted because of like we said, that they built that rain roof, so a lot of them were all rotted because of poor drainage, loaded with snow, loaded up with. Now we talked about how many guys were on the roofing?
24.
So 24. If each one of those guys weighed over 200 pounds, that's an extra 5,000 pounds on the roof right there. Pretty
close, but back then it even said in that report, Kev, you were just reading that back then. This wasn't something that, prior to this fire, there was very little written about fires and trusses,
Yep.
Fire experience in certain, in certain cities, in the Bronx, had seen some fires in these types of, these types of buildings. But, and again, even for us, Kev, right? I just in 2000, I don't know, 10, 15, we would go to a factory in Maspeth, had some areas that were mostly factories. And if you could believe it, there were still buildings that didn't have that it was a truss on the SIDS. If you showed up there at 3 o'clock at night, you wouldn't be able to see it from the front of the building. It was very difficult during the day to see that it was a bow because of the parapet, like you said before, depending on how high it was. We were able to get a glimpse of it. We went in there for an EMS run, I think. So even on these bullshit runs, you take advantage of, spotting something that, you think would be a problem at 3 o'clock in the morning, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a bowstring truss. It could be anything. Dogs on the roof. It could be fences, and it could be, some type of an alteration, an open stair in the middle of the room. I remember we used to see weird shit like that all the time. You'd be like, guy will fall right down the stairs with this thing if he doesn't know,
Yep, man. Yep. So what? Anybody who's read, where is it? I lost it now.
Well, just give props to who's that? Chief Jonas, right? He that was a few years ago. They did a special on that.
Yeah. So we can what we can do, Peter, is if you could post this link in in the thing down below. Maybe guys want to go through the whole report themselves.
Absolutely.
So
We could
post
do
that
that
link.
for the video when we clean up all the stuff in the edits later, in the description. Yep, absolutely. So by tomorrow, you guys will be able to download the fire report itself. But yes,
Yeah, just some really crazy pictures after that, man. It tells you a little about bowstrings. They were basically meant to get rid of those columns so you could have a wide open bowling alley or whatever the hell it is, man.
Pete, show that video. Show that video. I don't know if guys in the chat, some of these guys would know. They know more than us. This was that video that was circulating a couple of years ago, where there's like 3 guys on the roof, one guy's cutting. It looks like, and then it looks like the
one you sent me.
Yeah, so that looks like the whole thing just like collapses a few feet, and they scramble to run to the parapet, and it's like it's just a pucker factor without a doubt.
Dudes, this one's a crazy one. Here it comes. Stand by. Oh man, this is nuts. Freaked me out when you sent this to me, Louis. Holy smokes.
Yeah, so that looks like a rubber roof there or something. It's not a bowstring, obviously, but those guys, I don't know if he cut a cord there or something, but it looks like that rubber roof saved them there. It looks like, right?
Yeah, man.
That's
shit.
Like this, boink, 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 boink.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. I mean, honestly, guys, like just the story itself from Waldbaum'S is so compelling, but you see stuff like this even now, more in modern times. It really, really, really tells you what the job is all about right here. You know what's cool?
Look at that. This is what I always say, man. People, when you watch these types of videos, right? When you're there, you have seconds to make decisions, right? Watch that video. Watch the guy who's got the hook or the whatever he's got in his hand there. Watch what he does first. The guy who's in the back. Rewind. You see the guy right there? Stop it. You see, he's the first one over the parapet. You see how fast he did not hesitate to go for his guys, right? That to me, when I watch that, that's important, right? Because you don't get a second chance under that circumstance, right? So the fact that, the guy's his first, he sees the thing go, he doesn't run for the guys, he runs to a safe area, and then he's on those guys. And you know what? That guy was, they were close. The fact that he did that, that's important, man, to me.
Louis, it's like when you get on a plane and they tell you to first you secure your own mask before you secure anyone else's. You know what I mean? Same kind of
he
thing.
was probably like, "Holy shit, man!" As any of us would, but he does not. He's not in the moment there, man. He's figured it out quick. That he wasn't shocked. He wasn't figuring it out. He was running. He was making quick decisions. So that's pretty cool.
He got himself safe, and then he went right for his brothers. Look, and boom, he's got both of their arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody was saying that was a laundromat. Somebody said in the.
Oh, is that right?
That's what somebody was saying in the chat. Yep.
Yeah, that looks like right. That looks rubbery to me. I don't know, but I just thought that would be,
We war.
What a great save and what a crazy video, guys.
It's funny that we do this stuff with these back in the days, and I read about these fires, and I love the history. Obviously, I don't love reading about this, but I mean, how could we be involved in this for so long and we don't know these fires in and out? The older ones, you know about it, but I don't know the newer ones. I know better, like the Deutsche Bank and all those fires, because we have the reports while we were on the job.
I mean, look at the destruction from this.
Well, that's way past that. Yeah. But you could see how those things how far apart they are,
They're spaced. Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah, man. Brutal. So what else you got, man? You want to wrap it up? You have any questions you want to get, Pete? Anybody got questions in the
let's see.
Then we'll save the 5-minute lightning round. You know what I mean, Pete? The other thing we talked about, the 5-minute lightning round.
Oh, are we doing that? Oh, right, right.
Why not?
Are we doing that today? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mikey likes it. No, I think. Listen, you know what, guys? I don't think we have too many questions in the chat actually tonight. I was watching and really there really wasn't any. But you know what? Ray Seeley's coming in hot. Please post the names of the deceased. Ray, I got you, buddy. Stand by.
Fat Daddy Ray with a PH.
With a PH, brother.
Probably drinking his Maker's Mark.
So we've got Lieutenant James E. Cutillo, Battalion 33, firefighter Charles S. Booton, ladder 156, Proby firefighter William O'Connor,
That's
156.
Billy O'Connor. Yep.
Billy O'Connor, yep. Firefighter James P. McManus, ladder 153, firefighter George Rice, ladder 153, and firefighter Harold F. Hastings, Battalion 42. Rest in peace, brothers. Damn. That is, I mean, the fact that Billy O'Connor, probationary firefighter, coming off of his tour, about to go on vacation, this man, and waved at his kids one last time goodbye.
And that lieutenant, he wasn't even assigned to. He was working there for the day. Maybe he was UFO there. I mean, I don't know the specifics with that. I would have to look at that, but he's not assigned to that company.
Dude, you know, just he answered the call, and here he is. You know, God rest his soul and his children as well.
It's only a half hour.
Heartbreaking. It just kills me.
Yeah.
All right, what are we doing now?
All right, before we do the 5-minute lightning round, Pete, I'd like to say that the guys in the chat this is becoming like a family, guys. I get to see the same guys. We're becoming friends on
Absolutely.
Facebook.
A lot of new guys, a lot of new faces.
Yeah, but it's becoming like a very family oriented. It's like the firehouse, bro. We're sitting around bullshitting. And some of the guys, well, actually one guy in particular sent me something to present to producer Pete. And this guy made Pete his own front shield.
Back it up.
Holy smokes. Right, get out of here.
It says producer Pete getting salty. He's got a little gun on the top.
What?
Says, guys, be quiet, like he's yelling at his kid. And it says Ming Maron.
Ming.
That guy is Will Belinsky.
He's in the chat. He's in the chat. Will.
Oh my God. Will. Bro. Listen, that's more than an honor for me. You know, I will have that thing displayed with pride every single show. That is the nicest thing ever, dude. Seriously, Will. Holy sheetrock. My God.
Will sent me that. He sent me the picture, I don't know, a few days ago. And he had asked if he could do something for you. So I said, of course. And then he sent me the picture. And I'm like, oh, my God. When I saw the assault rifle on there, I'm like, oh, my God. He's going to be like.
Listen, the only thing you can do in return is maybe send them a picture of your old lady in the thong. Bill definitely deserves something like that. You know what I'm saying?
We'll send us your email. I'll send you a picture of my old lady's box. It'll all wash out.
I didn't say box. I said box. If you want to send the box.
I said box. God damn it. I want to help this guy out. No, seriously, Will, you know what? Seriously, that was awesome.
I think I have his email, but Will, send it to the Getting Salty Experience at Gmail again, just so I have it. So I'll forward it to Petey.
Thanks, boys. And, you know, honestly, I got a couple friends, Dan Wilson and Ben Coate now are my Facebook buddies, right? So, you know, you're right, Kev. It is becoming kind of like a family. And I absolutely dig this crew of everybody who's the weekly names like Taylor and Gonzo and Frank Sutphin and his old lady and Tankamus Prime and his old lady and, you know, the entire crew, man. I mean, and everybody who keeps coming back, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
We want to give back to the guys, bro. So we're going to have what we came up with is the 5-minute lightning round. So Pete's going to pick out shit, throw it up there. We want you to break me and Louis' balls. Bring it on, bro. You can't make fun of Louis' curtains again because somebody already did. So
how about my six head?
You want to make fun of his 6 head? Bring it on. Let's go. You got 5 minutes. Your best shit. Throw it at me. What do you got?
Ray Seeley just says, "Nice job, guys. Respectful treatment of a terrible day." But there you go. That at least we started off correctly, guys. This is your moment. Let's see who's busting balls here. 5-minute lightning round.
They got nothing. These guys, they got nothing.
Fat Daddy Ray, Minuteman. Come on.
Here we go.
Get
Hold
your
on.
musket out. Blast you one shot.
Louis, Dan Wilson says Louis' dick boom
And
is
I'm
looking
telling
no
you right
room.
now,
Nice.
by Thursday, it's coming. I don't know how you people keep this stuff on your face. I don't like it.
It's called being a man.
Oh, come on.
Oh, the fact that Kev flexes his pecs every 3 seconds. Got him.
Oh, Tankimus Prime. You know who likes that?
You're old lady.
This is for Kerry, bro. Yeah, this one's for Kerry. Woo, Kerry.
Dan Wilson coming in shit hot, face vagina.
Oh, face vagina.
What kind of man cave? What kind of man cave is that? Is asking? And he's asking Louis.
Fucking White House, bro.
Kevin looks like Sammy Davis Jr. and Louis looks like a knockoff Dean Martin. Okay, Pete, where's the hat? Pete, where's the hat in the old lady's box? Ming. Hello. Let's see. We're looking for more. Kev, do you wake up every morning and say to your wife, "Good"? Okay. Good morning. Oh shit! Kev, do you wake up every morning and say to your wife, "Good morning, Vietnam"?
Yeah. Filipino, Vietnamese, whatever.
I love you a long time.
Lou, when did you get banished to the technology basement? What's that all about? Is Lou having a Shirley Temple? Lou,
Come on.
How did it feel? Lou, how did it feel to have Kevin tiller you from behind from Chris K? Mamma mia. We're calling you guys Tango and Cash.
Oh, I like Tango and Cash. That's a good movie.
Good movie, man. Hey, anything with Kurt Russell. That guy's a legend.
No, I'm
oh, there's one. Taylor's got a good one. Go.
Is Kevin sitting on phone books of your Asian old lady's family? Jesus Christ.
I love it.
What happened to the dog bark? Lou stole his wife's drink. Almost.
You know, it's funny. As soon as I put that up there, I'm like, that's like honey, Jack. Maybe that's not so good.
Is Kev wearing his drink?
Definitely he's wearing a kid's shirt.
You know what? I took it off your sister's nightstand when I left this morning, bro.
Hot stuff. It's more like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, now everybody's warming up. Now everybody's getting
I'm getting it now. Pete wears those headphones because it feels like having pussy wrapped around his head. You know it, fireman is mean. Nothing better than that feeling.
Oh, look at now. All of a sudden they're all warmed up. Now everybody's warm. Kevin's
locked in his grandma's basement. Does Kevin have a Tourette's? Lou, go back to your bar. The frilly curtains gotta go, bro. It's Cheap Steve fixing to be Flat Steve. I don't know what that is.
He's in the press.
He's in the press. That's right.
Three Stooges. Oh, good Lord. 1 minute left. 1 minute on the clock.
Holy Christ.
Kev. Hey, Kev, I've seen better arms on a chair.
Pete, that would hurt. Nice. Stop it. Oh,
Pete just blew a load in his pants. He's all excited the kids might be safe tonight.
Oh, my God.
Kev's dryer has one cycle. Shrink.
Word. By the way, these shirts do not shrink. So
they're pre-shrunk. Next
quality.
generation 3600s, gentlemen. Where's Kevin's shop for clothes? The Baby Gap.
Dude, these guys are fucking on a roll now all of a sudden.
All right, somebody warmed up. Somebody gave them man pants. What do you got?
If Sylvester Stallone had a Down syndrome, you would be twin brothers.
That might be it. That was Todd, winner, right there. Winner, chicken dinner.
You guys know what the someone said shave your face pubes and make a wig, but you know what that sounds like, boys? You know what that is? That's the werewolf. You know what the werewolf is?
No.
That's when you this one you have to prepare. Okay, what you got to do is you got to shave your pubes first and leave it somewhere, and then after you schwazol on the wife's face, you throw it on there. You throw the pubes on her face, and she goes. That's the werewolf.
I'm out of that one. No.
I'm not. That's 2 minutes. I'm never going to get back in my life right there. Look at Ray said. Wipe my junk right on my new curtains.
Nice.
Hey Lou, if you want to drive your wife crazy after sex, wipe your thing with those crazy curtains. Let's see.
Those are Italian curtains, bro. Italian.
Oh my God! Oh no! Someone went here. Did I hear me so horny?
I'm so horny.
I hope you heard that. That's good news for me, bro.
5 minutes tapped out. I'm done.
I'm
Great
so hot.
job,
My
boys.
face hurts.
Great job. Oh, I like that segment.
My
Oh my God! Sorry, I had to post this one. Pete, drop your next stone in those guys' white claws.
Nice.
Oh my God! Savages. All right.
All right, so we got listen, Thursday night we got a treat for you fucking homos. We got, am I allowed to say that? We got the Godfather himself, bro. Tell him, Ruffy.
Chief Freddie La Famina. And
yeah.
And what did he say to you today, Kev? What did he say?
He said everything's out on the table.
Everything's on the table. He didn't
hurt my feelings.
You won't hurt his
feelings.
feelings.
You want to say you won't hurt my feelings.
You know, we might have to make a few phone calls to get some real dirt. I mean, I have a few stories. Kevin's got a few stories. I'm sure, you know. Well, we're going to have fun. That is for sure. Guess where we're going tomorrow?
We're going tomorrow. Borough of Manhattan with Chief Steve to film the Gone But Not Forgotten segment. Yep. The real Chief Steve. Tomorrow.
Manhattan. And the puppet.
Puppet's coming with us for the ride. Yep.
Definitely got to have that puppet with us, brothers.
So we're going to four firehouses tomorrow. And we're going to go over the...
they used to be firehouses, and now there's something else.
So
turn of the century firehouses that are now...
Like that stuff. So, yeah, a little bit of history, but we get the break. You're going to really just see how much fun he is to be around. You know what I mean? He's just a ball of laughs.
Oh, man, he's a ball of personality, that guy, bro.
He's on fire. I tell you tomorrow, I guarantee you, Pete, he's going to laugh tomorrow because...
He will?
Yeah, I guarantee he's going to laugh a lot tomorrow.
Yeah.
I saw him smile. I saw him smile at a party once.
He's going to laugh. He's going to laugh tomorrow. Guaranteed.
All right. Excellent, brothers. Excellent. All right.
Oh, that's good. So it looks like the guys like the 5 minutes of fury there. So we'll keep that up every other week, you know, something. So save up your little, write them down, you know, save them up. And we'll do a little 5-minute lightning round. So you get a little humor.
Get a little something. Let them vent a little bit.
All right. So let's take it out, Pete. Listen,
well, as everybody knows, and if you don't know, you're listening to, if you're listening to this on audio, us on youtube.com/Gettin Salty Experience. Guys, please do us a favor. You know what to do. Take your little digits and give us the finger. Okay. And that means like, subscribe, share the podcast wherever you can, guys. We want to come out to you. The only way we can get to do that is if you share this and help the podcast grow, which it is. And we thank you guys so much for that. And to get your daily dose of Gettin Salty Experience, go to Instagram.com @SaltyDogInc, where you will find all the latest information from Mr. Lou there and some sick classic photos that he's posting every day. But all the up-to-date last-minute info on what we're going to do this week is coming to you from Instagram. And last but not least, guys, as you heard at the top of the show, go to gettinsaltyapparel.com where you can support us. And I'm going to post this right now, boys. And you can potentially buy T-shirts like this one right here. That would be the first "Do at Your Old Lady's Box" T-shirt, which will be
going to be on. It's going to be on Wednesday. It'll be on Wednesday on the website. It won't be shipped until next week because they're getting printed up right now.
Right. So, you can pre-order. You can put your order in. It might be a couple of days to a week delay, but you can put your order in and get them before they're gone, hot off the shelf, bro. We're going to make coffee mugs and also decals out of the same thing. So plaster it all over your rig, plaster it all over your car, or plaster it on your wife's
old lady's ass. Put it on her ass.
This is a good one.
Or if you want, I'll plaster it on your old lady's box.
Mamma mia.
No.
I thought the werewolf was rough. Oh, Ming. All right, guys. Very nice, dudes. Very nice. That's it. That's it for me.
All right, bitches. Stay low and go.
All right, boys. We'll see you at the big one. We'll see you on Thursday.
Peace.
Thanks for listening, boys.